The first 100 days, what grade would you give Donald Trump and why?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 20.
20. And why 20?
I feel safer. I feel more confident. I know who's running the country, and we haven't for the last 4 years. I think the economy is going to come around. I love the people that he's picked for the cabinet. I think everybody is just doing a top-notch job, and I love Doge.
Trump is absolutely crushing it in his first 100 days, but the legacy media is doing absolutely everything they can to try to convince what's left of their dwindling audience that Trump is in a polling free fall. So is it true? Is he? Well, that is what we're going to find out. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here celebrating right along with you the most historic 100 days of any president in our nation's history. But the legacy media is doing everything they possibly can to throw a wet blanket on those celebrations. And the only thing that I can think of that's worse than that are the way my allergies keep me up at night, right? Is that you too? Are you finding that allergies are turning your nights into a nightmare? Well, meet Sambrosa Sweet Dreams Night Syrup. This is your ticket to a sleep paradise. Now, this isn't just any syrup. It's a unique blend of pure natural honey, soothing organic herbs, and a touch of doxylamine, a trusted antihistamine that tackles those pesky nighttime symptoms. Whether it's sneezing, congestion, or itchy eyes keeping you up, Sambrosa's got you covered. Take it before bed and let its gentle formula help you drift off to stay asleep. I mean, gang, this stuff is amazing. It will knock you out. I kid you not. And you'll end up waking up feeling refreshed and not groggy. And the best part, it just starts at just $11.99. No prescriptions, no hassle, just natural relief. Visit the link below and use code Turley for 25% off. And finally, enjoy the sleep you deserve. Click on that link below right now. So, according to George Stephanopoulos' ABC News, Trump is seeing the worst polling numbers of any president in their first 100 days in 80 years. ABC wants you to believe that Trump is the most unpopular president in nearly a century. Let me ask you, just based on what do you feel that's true? Based on the people you talk to, or just the sense, the perception you get just around you, do you believe that? Just from your own experience? You know, CNN concurs. They basically stole the headline of ABC saying Trump's polls are in a free fall. Ah! Now we could go on and on. Now I'm just going to cut straight to the chase here. The polls that the legacy media has been pushing at the end of Trump's first 100 days are all literally BS. They are fakes. They are frauds. They are demonstrably false. First and foremost, they're coming from the exact same polling outlets that told us that Kamala was going to win in a landslide. She was going to win Iowa. She's going to sweep the blue wall states. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word. This is the beauty of the internet, right? We could stroll down memory lane very easily. Take a look at what polling in October of 2024 looked like. Now, if you're listening by way of our 20 million podcast downloads, what you'll see is just a whole vertical line of blue dots showing Kamala ahead of Trump, representing all the usual establishment shills, the morning consult, real pollsters like to call it the morning compost. They had Kamala up by 5, freaking 5, just a few weeks before she got destroyed in a historic landslide. Ipsos had her up by 2. TIPP had her up by 3. New York Times had her up by 3. NPR had her up by 2. The New York Post, the anti-Trumper Rupert Murdoch New York Post that likes to pass itself off occasionally as MAGA, they had Kamala up by freaking 4. You need to remember this whenever you hear about the latest polls. These are not polls, they are propaganda. It's not meant to reflect public opinion. It's meant to shape it. Now, you'll see dispersed among that litany of blue dots, you'll see periodically a couple of red dots, with Trump polling at +2. Well, that's Rasmussen. That's Mark Mitchell, which is precisely the result we got in November. We'll have Mark on the show next week. We'll actually have him a little bit, a nice clip of Mark and what he has to say about these fraud polls in a moment. Remember, Kamala never led. That's the dirty little secret when you look at those polls. Kamala never led. Even her own internal pollsters admitted that after the election. We reported on it. They never once had her ahead in their internal polling. Kamala was never in the lead. Those polls were all response bias polling. Those response bias polling, which I'm going to show you how it works in a moment. Those are response bias polling purposely presented as reality by a legacy media that knew what they were doing. A legacy media that is dedicated to lying to you, to pushing fantasy rather than fact. Oh, and by the way, in case you think I'm being a bit hard on the New York Post, look at this pathetic nonsense that they just tweeted out literally 48 hours ago. Trump battered by brutal polls that show his approval sinking, including one revealing the lowest rating since World War II. Again, I'm just going to say it. Sorry for my potty mouth, but that is pure unadulterated. That's pure BS. And the sad part is the editors at the New York Post were supposed to be our friends. They're supposed to be on the right. Unfortunately, they're owned by a never-Trumper, Rupert Murdoch. But the editors of the New York Post know that. They know they are you. They know that. They're just throwing their owner, their never-Trumper, Rupert Murdoch owner, a bone there. They know they're publishing pure BS. Here's Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen.
It feels like August and September. It feels exactly what happened. It's like, oh, we got a new entrant into the race, Kamala Harris. Let's see how the polling's going to do. And my numbers, it tightened a little bit, went from, Trump +5 down to about Trump +2. And my numbers stopped there and everybody else just kept going. And so that's exactly what's happening here. If you look at, we had Trump underwater at 5 points. We had him above water last week. It's going to fluctuate, I think, around, ±2. But everybody was with me. They were with me 2 or 3 months ago saying that Donald Trump came in the low to mid 50s, and this is exactly what they're doing. My numbers stopped, and theirs are going to keep on going left.
Now, Mark has Trump right now up at around 47%. He is down a couple of points, but that 47%, that's Obama territory. And he's doing very well. That is usual at the end of 100 days. And it's not just Mark. Here's pollster Matt Towery saying virtually the same thing on Laura Ingram's show last night.
Matt, now we're almost 100 days in. Which, if any, of these polls involving Trump concerns you the most, and why?
None of them, to be honest with you. I have a group of pollsters I look at who are public pollsters who've been right in all 3 of Trump's cycles. We happen to be one of those. None of us have had him down by any of these numbers we've seen before. I don't like to criticize polling, but how can you have a poll, as John McLaughlin, a good friend of mine, pointed out, how could you have a poll that shows Donald Trump at 39%, but yet when you ask people who they voted for, and they said they voted for Trump, like 95% said they would vote for him again? He's not in free fall. He's had a little bit of slippage because he's doing a lot. He's breaking a lot of eggs to make an omelet. But he is not dropping in any significant way, I can guarantee you. And I'm just not paying any attention to this nonsense. They were wrong in the elections in the past, and they're going to be wrong about his approval rating as well.
I mean, it's got to be... I've talked to Rich Barris. He's confirmed this. I mean, it's got to be so frustrating to be a viable, accurate pollster that actually cares about capturing the sentiments of the electorate with precision. It's got to be so frustrating when you're confronted with such obvious fakes and frauds, propagandists disguising themselves as pollsters. One of the problems for the polling industry as a whole is that less people than ever are responding to them. And that inordinately produces response biases in their samplings. So this is something that Jason Corley at Quantum Insights, they're excellent, by the way. They're a phenomenal polling outlet. Jason Corley recently wrote about, if you want to understand response bias, the nature of response bias in these polls, what you have to realize is that the response rates to pollsters have crashed from 20% of the population in 2000 to just 5% in 2024. So polling response rates have crashed from 20% to 5%. And that crash means less people than ever are willing to talk to pollsters. And what that drop in polling participation has done, inadvertently or advertently, it's just what it has done, is it has skewed samples inordinately towards urban, college-educated, institutionally trusting voters, because they're the ones who are answering the polls. They're an inordinate number, that 5%. There's been studies on this. A 2024 paper by the American Association for Public Opinion Research found that the polls during the presidential campaign, just this past 2024, were radically skewed towards far more urban, cosmopolitan, degree-holding respondents. So that meant even the Republicans among those respondents were more left-wing. They were more prone to voting for Kamala than what was representatives of Republicans in the nation at large. And the problem here is that gatekeepers like Nate Silver, who is not a pollster, by the way, remember that. That's very important. Nate Silver is not a pollster. He's not even really a political analyst. All he does is take all these polls that are riddled with response bias, and he pushes them to the front page, as it were. But the problem with that is that popularizers like Nate Silver simply amplify this bias, endorsing flawed pollsters while dismissing the accurate ones like Rich Barris and Rasmussen and Atlas Intel. And what that does is it creates a feedback loop of error and distrust, which only further contributes to the continued delegitimization of polling. Again, we're seeing a record low in trust and confidence in polling. I think this is Rasmussen, 71% according to this recent Rasmussen survey. They think the polls are rigged. And of course, if that poll were it skewed to the more cosmopolitan cohort, then that number would actually be much worse. Most people recognize that polls are not there to measure. They're there to manipulate. Polls are not there to measure. They're there to manipulate. And that's why we on this channel, we only go with the likes of people like Rich Barris, Mark Mitchell, Atlas Intel, Trafalgar. These are polling outlets that have time and time again proven themselves that they are only interested in accuracy and predictive integrity. And all those polls, the polls that were the most accurate in 2024 and in the previous elections prior to that, in 2022 and 2020, they all show that Trump is absolutely crushing it. His base could not possibly be happier with him. And if the election were held today, he would win with even a bigger margin of victory than he did in 2024. And even MSNBC, if you could believe it, in one of their rare moments of honesty, even MSNBC has had to admit it.
I am totally excited. Everybody I know is excited. My biggest issue is the border, and he's killing it. Well, absolutely everybody that's here illegally should go. I'm not one of these that, the poor person. No, they need to go. They came in illegally.
So, I'll say it to you. I say it to you time and time again, but I will say it to you now. I will never lie to you. I will never lie to you. If Trump's polling really does start to crater, if it starts to falter, I will be the first to tell you. And we'll have what I think we all would hope to be a very fruitful discussion on how he could turn those polls around. We're not doing ourselves any favors by lying to each other. We're not liberals, after all. So if Trump's polls were to fall, I promise you, I would be the first to tell you. It's just simply not the case. Trump is crushing it. His voters love what he's doing, and they can't wait for more. Hey there, Turley Talker. You know what? I'd love to hear from you. That's why I'm launching the Dr. Steve Hotline, where you can call in, leave a question, and maybe even hear your own voice featured on an upcoming episode of the show. Whether it's about the latest political shakeup or cultural trends or how we keep pushing forward in this new conservative age, I want to know what's on your mind. Call me at 717-844-5984. Just leave your question. I'll be checking in every single week to answer as many as I can. Again, that's 717-844-5984. Your chance to be a part of the conversation. One more time, 717-844-5984. 5984. Give me a call and let's talk.